facing just now is how to carry out boundary delimitation as we approach the next elections. Secondly, in a much broader sense, my field of surveying and geospatial sciences is a powerful, carries within it powerful tools today that are being used in modern elections everywhere in the world. And I've mentioned elsewhere, the technology of digital cartography. You cannot carry out any elections without maps. That has been there before. The difference is that today it is digital so that you can be able to see your maps on the screen as elections are going on. This falls within my area of expertise. The technology of remote sensing. Remote sensing today gives us maps which are produced directly from images taken by satellites in space. Most of us here will be familiar with Google Maps. The Google Map, in one of them, it shows you images the way you would see them directly. Those are remote sensing images. But they are not, remote sensing does not give us those images in that direct form. There is a lot of processing that must happen for it to be in that form. So we just take it that remote sensing helps us to produce those kind of images and those kind of maps. GIS. GIS is a powerful tool, and IEBC has a relatively strong department that deals with GIS. GIS helps us to create attributes for a given location or a given locality. You take any constituency, in GIS database, you will put in all the details of that constituency. And at the click of a button, it will give you all those details. How many MPs have been here? How many elections have been conducted here? How many votes were cast last time? Whatever it is you want to put in, GIS will do it. That is part of my field. And then GPS, which is Global Positioning System. It is strictly not just Global Positioning System. We call it satellite, Global Navigation Satellite System. At the beginning, it was GPS, because the Americans were the first ones to produce a global navigation satellite system, which was named GPS. But today, there are others from other countries, Europe, China, India, Japan, have their systems. And their systems have different names. This is a technology that allows you to find your location anywhere on the surface of the earth to an accuracy without a lot of effort of ±1 meter. If you have in this room a GPS-enabled telephone, if you move from here to that corner, you will see that the coordinates will change. This is a powerful tool that can be used in elections. I don't want to go into the details here because it will take a lot of time. So those are dedicated expertise that I claim that I can bring to IEBC. But at a more general level, I have been in public administration for a long time. I have been in boardrooms, and so my experience in boardrooms and in public administration will be very useful in IEBC. Honorable Mutuse, you asked about delimitation of boundaries and where to put more weight. Actually, my involvement with IIBRC was purely because of this question. This is a question that was being raised by ECK already in 2004. And I was involved with ECK in 2004 when they were raising this question. That is how my involvement with boundary delimitation started. That they brought a commissioner to myself at the university, as believing I was an expert in this area, to ask, how can we do this? And I had never thought about this as a problem because it is not a specific problem in my field. There are so many other problems. So I sat down and came up with a formula which combines in a very analytical manner population and area. I remember when I made this presentation later on to parliamentary committee, those days we were doing the 290 constituencies and the Constitution, I was even challenged to include poverty levels. There was a member of parliament from, I think, from northern Kenya who was interested in this. And I made a presentation subsequently with inclusion of poverty levels. Now, whatever we do, we cannot do boundary delimitation purely on population. That can't work for us as Kenya. And I always give this example. If you do pure population, Nairobi with its 4.7 million people today, or about 5 million, you will end up with about 30, 40 constituencies. Is that what we want for Nairobi? And at the same time, Northeastern might end up with 3 constituencies. Is that what we want? If you flip it onto the other side and you say we are going to do area, Nairobi cannot be a constituency if you do area alone. And Northeastern might end up with 50 constituencies. Is that what we want? No. So you have to come up with a compromise and have a formula which does this, Honorable. Kenya has 290 constituencies and 1450 wards. Are we overrepresented? This is a relative question. It depends on what we want to achieve. If you ask me today, and I was doing this thing, I will tell you as follows. We can have less than 290. We can stay with 290, which I think is a very bad option, to stay with 290. Or we can go to more than 290. I'll tell you why 290 will be a problem if we stay with it. The current distribution of constituencies in Kenya is based on the first attempt that created the 290 constituencies. When this work was done, it was known that it was never going to be the final piece of work. It was not complete. We were working within a constraint of time, and it was important to deliver results. There was a lot of argument about what was going on. So people agreed that we should do 290 constituencies. And the 290 constituencies was based on a simple arithmetic. 40 million Kenyans divided by 28.8 million Kenyans, which is what we had when we did 210 constituencies, multiplied by 210, you get 291. And then the MP said, hurrah, we shall have 290 constituency. This was based on a presentation I made in Naivasha to the Committee of Parliament. But the problem came in on how you now distributed this 290. The major constraint was here. There were certain constituencies that were already too small, and they needed to be retained. When you retain those small constituencies, the converse is that there are certain constituencies that should have been smaller, which now ended up being very big. I have given this example before. Which is the smallest constituency in Kenya? Lamu East, 18,000 people. This is according to the 290 when it was done in 2012, not today. So I'm quoting the 2012 figures because that is what we have as complete. Which is the biggest constituency in Kenya in terms of population? Mandera South, at 247,000 people. So you see this variation from 18,000 in Lamu East to 247.